in this world now, you could look at downloads, you could look at the money you make from the podcast, you could look at who the guests are. But for you with the Win the Day podcast, what is your win? Like, what makes it a success for your podcast?
Good question. Well, sort of to touch on what you just said before too, like connecting with a lot of billion-dollar founders and really influential, successful people, they really love sitting down and having a great conversation. And if you can provide that to enough people, it doesn't matter what else happens. They will want to help you as much as possible, even if no one ever hears the interview, because they've really enjoyed that genuine, sincere conversation. A win for me is the messages and things that I get. And I'm only getting more and more and more in terms of the frequency of receiving those messages. So that's the real metric of success to me, is how many people are reaching out to say that they now are focused on winning the day, and they have the win the day mentality, and they're sharing the win the day spirit with their family and their business and their community. That's the only real metric that I care about, because to me it's real. Things like download numbers and of course things like business growth and audience growth, like these things are important metrics, but they pale. They're a distant metric behind real impact from people whose lives have been changed through them implementing the lessons and channeling the inspiration that's provided on the show from, the amazing guests and things that we've had on here.
I'm curious, over 100 episodes, what are one or two different things that came to you that was a result of podcasting that drove you down a path to whether starting a business or even something you've done in your personal life that's affected it in a better way?
I didn't realize the power of podcasting until I was speaking at your event in LA so many years ago. And I saw people there talking about the power of podcasting. And I'd never been on a single podcast show before. But leaving that event, I made the commitment to be featured on 100 podcasts in a single year. And I'd been featured on a single show before it. And I was able to be featured on more than 150 podcasts, just as a result of having the right plan, having the right intention, and following that relentlessly to a focus of delivering value and relationships. If you can do those things, then the whole world opens up. So the biggest thing that I've learned is really the power of podcasting, but more conceptually than that, it's just the power of telling your story and the idea that if you don't tell your story, then no one else will.
Storytelling is powerful. I mean, that's why I love podcasting, is people sharing their story where the listeners can relate and then do something with their life.
And you have to have it through video for the most part now, because you can extract the audio from video, you can extract the transcript, and you can put that out there as much as possible. People are so worried about what are other people going to think about that, when instead you need to have a bit of a paradigm shift on that and say, who are the people who are unable to have the transformation in their life? Because I am afraid of producing content because I'm so worried about what people who aren't going to watch it anyway are going to think. So produce content for people whose lives you want to help, rather than being so worried about what people in your rear view are going to think.